hope that wasn't too loud. I don't have a wine glass like Michael has, so my kids have broken all of our wine glasses. So I have this. So I would like to welcome all of you who are visiting us from points around the world to the 16th of June meeting of the Rotary Club of Saint Petersburg International. Just for your information, we're recording this meeting, so please don't say anything that you don't want anyone to hear you say in a public meeting. We'll keep the recording on until the official end of the meeting. We have today visitors I can see from, of course, the Netherlands, from other points in Russia, from Germany, from Canada, from the United States. And I think that's our full guest list. Many of you have been to our club meetings in the past year, and we very much appreciate that you have come to us more than once and helped us keep alive as a club. I was mentioning to Jaap that we are a very small club. We want to grow. It's been hard for us to grow our membership during this COVID time because we haven't been out in our lovely Hotel Angleterre where we normally meet. But we've tried to take advantage of this opportunity to reach out to Rotarian friends from around the world who are in nearby time zones, and that's been a great success. So I think almost everybody who's coming from another country I have never met before, but over the course of the year, we feel like we have known you for a long, long time. I thought it might be helpful if, since we are coming from different countries, if we just spend a couple of minutes to introduce each other. So I can start with myself. We used to actually do this in our club physically. I'm Randall Eastman. I'm the secretary of the club. I'll be the secretary for another year, and I'm relatively new to St. Petersburg. I came here 2 years ago with my family, and I'm hoping to be here for some time, and very happy to be part of this club, which has been around since 2004. Now, looking at my screen, I'll just ask people to just introduce yourself. David Fishman, can you tell us who you are?
Yes, I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Alexandria, Virginia, a member of the board of directors of the Rotary Action Group for Peace, and I and a number of Rotarians who presented at the Intercountry Committee, as well as other senior Rotarians, are working on helping to strengthen the Intercountry committees. There were very impressive presentations by the Rotary president, incoming, Sheikh and Holger Knack, of course, and new connections have been established with German Rotarians, with Canadian Rotarians, with Indian Rotarians, and I will be sending out some briefing materials, which Randall will hopefully be able to pass on to everybody who's on the call today. I'd appreciate that, Randall, when I send it to you.
Thank you, David. Antonina, can you say something about yourself? No, you don't want to say. You're keeping secret right now. Okay, Antonina is in the Rotary Club of Quinte Sunrise. She was born, I think, in Tomsk. She was a founding member of the Rotary Club of Tomsk before she moved to Canada. And she also has family in St. Petersburg and has been a visitor several times to our club. And now she wants to say something herself.
Now I can speak.
Yes.
Because I shut down my second computer. I upgraded all the old one to Windows 10 and to all good things. So now I'm in transitional point. So yes, I'm a Russian-born, Siberian-born Rotarian. I was a charter member of Rotary Club in Tomsk in Siberia. When we were belonging to District 5010 with wonderful Governor Caroline Jones. So currently, and for 20 actually plus years, I reside in Canada. And here I'm a member of Rotary Club Quinte Sunrise, as already mentioned by Randall, in Belleville, Ontario. And I also kind of founded a group called Canadian Russian Cultural Society. So, and also I'm often guest of ICC Canada Russia. So, and my email address is in Messenger, in the chat. Please, if you are interested to contact, you're very welcome. And great to see you all.
And Antonina has also been a speaker to our club before. She gave a very interesting presentation about Pushkin's in Quinty.
Yeah,
If
we
any
discovered
other club
Pushkin's
needs
story
a
in
speaker.
Belleville here in Canada.
So we want to send you off to other clubs to also give that presentation. It's very good. See, I'm just adding people to the meeting. Okay, Henny, can you say something about yourself? Because if you don't, then I'll say something about you.
Yes, I'm Henny Holman from the Netherlands. I have an international experience with Rotary. And part of that is together with Randall. We have been very active in China together. He as an inspiration and I as a worker.
I think other way around.
Okay, but one of the things we did was to make a start to grow Rotary in China, and one of the things from my side was that I initiated the Rotary Club in Chengdu. And
also, you hosted our first Rotary China conference in Chengdu, which was an amazing feat.
Yes,
for one club to do.
Before I was in China, I was active in Rotary in Indonesia, and now I'm back in the Netherlands since 5 years. I'm a bit retired already, but I'm active in the Rotary Club Voorschoten, Leidschendam, which are two small cities in the vicinity of The Hague.
Cool. All right, Tom Wilkinson, PDG. Tom, can you say something about yourself?
Well, as I said earlier, I'm with the Rotary Club of Charlottetown Royalty in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada. And I'm the charter president of this club, which was founded in 1987, which means I'm still just a young fellow. And I'm past district governor of District 7820. I think one of the most exciting times I've spent in Rotary, some of the most difficult times as well, was dealing with Randall on our projects, or not dealing with Randall.
Not
that
because
doesn't
of
sound
me.
right.
Not because of me.
But was working with Randall on several projects, 10 or more projects in North Korea over a period of 15 years. And that was exciting. It was challenging, but we accomplished a tremendous amount of good thanks to Rotary, and particularly for Randall and the members in China. So it's nice to be with you.
You also admitted the first honorary member of the club from North Korea.
That's correct. We did. Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Mike Caruso, can you say something about yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm from District 5100, Northern Oregon, Southwestern Washington States in the US. I served as district governor in 2011, 2012. We have about 70 Rotary clubs, and we initiated Peace Builder clubs in 2011, 2012 year here. And I also served past director of the Rotary Action Group for Peace.
Cool. Thank you very much. Wendy, you're coming to us for the first time, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. Wendy Van Tongeren, that's a Dutch name you all recognize, but it's because my husband is Dutch, and he was a Rotarian in Coquitlam for many, many years. And in fact, as a lawyer, I went to The Hague and to Africa to prosecute war crimes. I would go to the Rotarian Club in Coquitlam and update them about what was happening. And always they opened their purses and pockets and gave me money, because my husband and I were helping a what they called a women's camp, because during the conflict in Sierra Leone, many of the women were kidnapped and became sex slaves and domestic slaves for the people who were involved in the conflict, and they ended up growing up without receiving any education, which was also a state in Freetown in any event, because there was some money that had to be paid by parents to allow their children to go to school, and what it meant is that the little boys most often found their way to school, but people did not send their daughters. So we, with the help of the Rotarians in Coquitlam, were able to put through about 35 women through a year-long program in the camp that they developed to help educate them. And it was an amazing thing, and there was tremendous gratitude to the Coquitlam Rotary Club as a result of that generosity. I've been a lawyer for 45 years, specialized in criminal law, and I'm still practicing at this moment.
Thank you very much. Sorry, did you mention you're a member of a Rotary Club right now? You started,
No. He's retired from Rotary.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how you found out about us. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Gabriella, would you like to say something about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Randall. Gabrielle Kutschel. I became a Rotarian in St. Petersburg and Saint Petersburg International, and I was the president of the club. And after coming back to Germany, I'm a member of the Rotary Club Flensburg. We have 3 clubs. It's in the district 1890. By the way, I'm also a lawyer, but then switching to politics and diplomacy. I'm also a member of the ICC, Germany, Russia. And well, I'm a honorary member of our club, St. Petersburg International, and my soul is still in Petersburg.
Cool. It captures, it's a place that captures soul, captured mine 30 years ago. Eva, could you please say something about yourself? Oh, you just switched off your camera. Maybe that means you're going to do it again.
I unmuted myself and took myself off the map. I became a Rotarian very soon after women were allowed into Rotary. About 1987, I became a Rotarian in Moncton, New Brunswick. And then I transferred back. I left that job and I came back to my home in Ottawa, and gradually became a president of the Rotary Club of Ottawa. That's the capital of Canada. And we're doing a bit of geography here, aren't we?
American guests. So
I was on the membership committee, and I was interviewing all the speakers that came to our club. Would they like to become Rotarians? So I went to Randall's office and interviewed him, and he said, "That sounds very reasonable and very efficient. Eva, where do I sign?" So you and I had that moment together, Randall.
I remember very, very fondly that you brought me to that club. And I remember actually the ceremony, which was very ceremonial, to induct new members into the club.
Yeah. So later I became a vaccinator to Cameroon, went all over Cameroon vaccinating for polio. And what else have I done in Rotary? I think that's about it for now. And of course,
you also introduced me to Tom. I remember that.
Oh yes, I
that was a big thing.
I actually, it happened this way. My sponsor in the Moncton Rotary Club, whom I knew very well, I phoned him and said, "I need somebody for this particular project that my dear friend Randall, who is now living in Shanghai, would like to do."
That was our potato. That was our potato project.
Yes,
that's right.
He said, "Call Tom Wilkinson." So I called Tom and I said, "Tom, you don't know me, My name is Eva Hammond, and I'm sitting over here in New Brunswick. Don't hang up while I explain to you what I want to do. Yeah, so anyway, Rotary is wonderful, is it not? Here we are in St.
Absolutely.
Petersburg, where I went on a medical workshop one time to St. Petersburg and Moscow. That was in 1975. We were on from McGill University. A group of us went to Moscow and St. Petersburg. So that's my connection with St. Petersburg and my trip there.
You would find if you came back that the cars on the road are a little bit different from 1975. Natalia, can you introduce yourself? You have been very, very supportive in the past few months for our signature project.
Hello, hello. Here I am. My name is Natalia.
Oh,
And
Neva,
family name
okay.
Petersburg, which is difficult for some for some people to pronounce, but nevertheless, I was in Rotary Club, St. Petersburg International, for about 6 years, and in 2010 I was elected as a president of the club. Before that, I was much involved in and initiated several projects at the club. Educational, certainly, because that's my professional, also skills in this field. We made, maybe some of you know, maybe not, we made some special program for the orphanage in St. Petersburg, for the homeless people, for the Romanovs. Actually, we started Romanovs project when I was also in the club. Together with Stefan Stein, we made a lovely and very serious conference on philanthropy. That was the beginning of this movement in Russia. In 2005, that was the conference. And I was mostly involved in academic exchange programs in our club and more in our district. And that was rather successful, as we, about 20 people during my time were they applied and they were received at the universities in America, mostly in America. And maybe one more project which was of much enthusiasm, that was the tent for the homeless people, which was a serious project, but unfortunately it was not continued because the officials of the city thought that we should exclude homeless people from the care of the non-professional organizations. But in general, it was a very good initiative, I may say. So since 2010, unfortunately, I'm not with the Rotary, and that is mostly because of my professional obligations as a rector of the Institute. At the moment, I reformed the Institute to the Center for Science and Religious Programs. And I'm very interested in this special meeting because the Holland speaker will be speaking, I'm sure, about very important issues. And my institute was very connected with the Netherlands universities. And I have a question which I will put afterwards.
Okay, questions come later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Natalia. And now I'd like to ask our second Natalia Le Chat, if you can introduce yourself.
I suggest we call Natalia Natalie. I just love Natalie. Okay, she's my
well,
friend.
she can introduce. All right, well, you introduce that way I know how to say your name properly.
Hello, I'm Natalie Le Chat. I'm a native from St. Petersburg, and I've been living for the past 30 years in Canada, in Toronto. so far, I'm not a Rotarian, and I was fortunate to be invited to attend St. Petersburg International Rotary Club meetings, and very happy to attend these meetings because the speakers and the discussions are very, very interesting. And I'm very much interested in the project of St. Petersburg International Club, the rehab clinic for children. And I'm trying to support it as much as I can. Thank you.
You have been supporting and you have been extremely helpful. Thank you so much. And now Tom Roth, who's coming to us, I know, from Beaverton, Oregon. Could you say something? You have to unmute yourself, Tom. Tom, you have to unmute. You're muted. Your microphone is muted. There you go.
Thank you. I join these meetings every Wednesday because the wonderful St. Petersburg Club is arranging such interesting speakers, and the programs are always fascinating. And today with ICC Netherlands, I lived in Germany for 20 years and former Yugoslavia and other places in Europe. And we're now doing across Russia and in Armenia and Georgia a peace pole project. And also we just established a peace builder club. The club of Vladivostok has elected to join, and we're going to have some other exciting news in the near future. Really exciting, but we'll share it at a future meeting. Thank you for.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom. Tom is a frequent visitor to our club, but he's not as frequent a visitor as Irina, our past president. Irina, can you say something?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Randall. I am a Rotarian since 2011 in my wonderful, one of the best clubs in the world, Saint Petersburg International. Sure. And I remember when I came in this club, I remember Gabriela. She just lightened our room with her kind smile. Thank you, Gabriela. And I was in charge as a university professor. They made me in duty with Rotaract. I organized Rotaract, which was terribly, absolutely active at that time. We made so many wonderful projects. And I also was president in 2014, 2015 in this club. It was also wonderful, wonderful time. In my social life, I'm professor for university philosophy. That's all. And fisherman, I like fishing.
You're the deepest thinker and the best fisher in the club. Kai, our past president, you clearly just got a haircut. You're on a train. Do you want to say anything or not convenient when you're on the train? No, we lost. Oh, I think we just lost him. I don't hear him. Okay. Cannot hear you if you're trying to say something. Richard Denton, can you say something to us? But you have to unmute.
Yep.
Hi.
I'm just a country doctor, now retired up in Canada, Northern Ontario. So not with the illustrious likes of the previous speakers, but I am becoming our district governor nominee right now and elect next month of our 7010, which is Northern Ontario and Northwestern Quebec. And what in Rotary led a group study exchange to India, which was marvelous. I've done a Rotary fellowship to South Africa and did volunteer work with Rotary in the Caribbean and a number of countries. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Richard, can I just ask, do you have a Russia connection? What is it that has, you have been a frequent visitor to our club meetings.
Yes, well, I'm supportive of the ICCs. David Fishman got me involved in that. My passion right now is to get rid of nuclear weapons so that we can have a nuclear-free world by 2030. And I think one of the ways to do that is certainly to build fellowship with other people. And so I'm on now with the internet. I'm on with our Canada-Russia group, which meets once a month, and we share ideas and how we, the last one was on how Russia and Canada celebrated Victory Day in Russia and Remembrance Day in Canada. And so that was very interesting. At Christmas time, we shared Christmas traditions. So I think that the ICC is a great idea, and so I'm happy to be here. And I'm looking forward to coming to Russia with Sharon Tennyson next year.
I hope you can. She's supposed to be arriving tomorrow, I think, on a trip to St. Petersburg and maybe to other places. Okay, Jaap, I just want to tell you that we don't normally have so much time allocated to introduce guests, but since we haven't done it before, I thought this would be useful. And we still have 3 people I haven't asked. Kai, you're on the train. Maybe you're happy just to ride the train. Maybe you don't want to say anything. We have Olga.
I can say quickly, so hello from on board. And yeah, I'm not sure it's working, yeah?
Yeah, that's
so
working.
I'm a member of the club already. Yeah, I'm a member of the club for 5 years already, and yeah, very glad that that's all.
Okay, sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy the show. Olga, would you like to say something? I know sometimes you're working and can't, but Olga Kholmogorova is responsible for all of the ICCs in our district and is a regular visitor, but this usually is also her work time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just share a couple of slides with you to update on some matters for our club. So first of all, our agenda today, we have had our guest introductions. I will speak for a short 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will introduce our guest speaker, Jaap, and I will ask Henny to do that. Henny has graciously volunteered to do that. Following Jaap's speech, we will have some questions and answers, and after that, if there is a need, we can update on our committees, and finally close the meeting. So it is our tradition to read out the 4-way test. So what we would like you all to do now is to unmute your microphone so that you can speak. And then I will read out the 4-way test, and we will do it in succession. So all of you are familiar with the 4-way test. You might not have seen it in Russian, so I added the Russian here for you, but we'll just read the English today. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be
Выгодно ли это для всех заинтересованных сторон?
Okay, I appreciate that we had that was bilingual. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, if you could put your mute back on, we will continue. So, some good news. Henny alerted me moments ago that Russia has actually beat Finland today, so that's very good news because we were hammered a few days ago by Belgium 3-0. So things are looking up in St. Petersburg today, where we are hosting many of the games and where we actually have a lot of visitors now and traffic is a bit more messy than normal. Some news from the district. Alexander Lunas, past president of Togliatti Mercury Rotary Club, has been elected as our DGN for 2023-24. And another bit of news. So the Rotary Magazine Russian edition, the May edition, was distributed a little while ago. Our district, if you haven't visited us before, you might not know that we are 77 clubs in Russia. The official language of our district is, of course, Russian. We have 2 clubs that meet in the German language and 2 that meet in the English language. And our district team is working very hard as quickly as they can, following the issue of the Rotary magazine in English. They produce with about a month lag an edition in Russian. So if anybody who's on our meeting today would like a copy, I can put it into the chat. And you can also send me an email. I'm happy to share it with you. Those of you who are with us today on the 16th of June are not at the finale for the Rotary International Virtual Convention. So we appreciate you coming to join us. Next year, it's going to be in Houston. And we were very lucky about a month ago to have John Smarge, who's the past Rotary International Director based out of Florida, who is the chair of the Houston Convention. He was speaking to us on his project, which is to support Haiti. But he is a very accomplished and very busy director, and he's going to be very busy for the next year planning the convention in Houston. District Assembly, our district will have a training assembly on the 26th of June with our incoming DGE Margarita from Vladivostok. So she will welcome us to Vladivostok. She will discuss strategic plan and priorities for the district. So I presume that's the work of what Steffenstein has been working on with the district. There will be some discussion about a district-wide ecological project. There will be some team building and some other activities. So that's the 26th of June. I just want to share with you that many of the clubs in our district are having a changing of the wheels ceremony over the next month or two to welcome in their new club executive. This one is the Toliati. Moscow East is having its handover. This is Moscow Rosika, Sochi in July. And why do I tell you this? Well, we are such a small club that we really aren't handing anything over. We're continuing with basically the same team as we had this year, and hopefully we'll change that in the new year. Many of you have said that you come to our meetings because we have interesting speakers. I want to share with you who's coming shortly. Next week, we have past Rotary International Director Mikhail Alberg, who is very directly connected with the developments of Rotary in Russia. He is a special representative to Russia for Rotary, and he's going to continue in that role for another year. The week after, we will have Peter Hunter, who is an engineer who works for Wallingford in the UK. And he was responsible for doing quite a lot of study for the World Bank. I believe it was for the World, no, it was EBRD, regarding the Saint Petersburg flood protection barrier, which is the huge dam which has done a bang-up job to protect us in the past several years from potential flooding in the city. And this city has had 3 very disastrous floods in its history. So we are very susceptible to flooding. I think this is something that people in the Netherlands can relate to. And the project is quite an incredible engineering project. So he will present on that. We will then slow down in July and August. We will only have a few meetings. We will meet on the 21st of July, and Robert Morrow will give us a presentation about Rotary Fellowships. And then in the 11th of August, we will have past Rotary International Director Manoj Desai, who is our incoming second special representative to Russia. So it's a team of 2 people appointed to help Rotary in Russia in our pilot district. So District 2223 is a pilot district which is structured in a different way than a normal district. And so we have 2 past RI directors to help to supervise the developments here. And then 25th of August is still open, but on the 1st, sorry, that should be the 1st of September, we will have Urs Halter speaking to us about the Russia-UK Intercountry Committee. Now, Henny, could you please say a few words about our guest speaker today?
Yes, indeed, I can. And following the recent success in reaching out to foreign friends within the ICC community, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Jaap de Zwaan, who is current coordinator from the Dutch side of the Netherlands Russia Intercountry Committee. Jaap de Zwaan is a lawyer and Dutch emeritus professor of European Union law. He started as his professional career as a member of the Hague Bar. Thereafter, he worked for a long period, about 19 years, for the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs in The Hague and Brussels. He was active in international negotiations, just with the treaty making, for instance, and UA decision making, and acted in numerous cases as an agent for the Dutch government in legal proceedings before the EU Court of Justice in Luxembourg. Then in 1998, Jaap was appointed full-time professor of European law at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam. Apart from these activities as a European law professor, he served his law school as Vice Dean for International Affairs and as a Dean. In the period later on, from September 2005 until May 2011, Jaap de Zwaan was the director of the Netherlands Institute of International Relations, Klingendaal, a think tank as well as a diplomatic academy. Then in May 2011, he returned to the Erasmus University Rotterdam, where in March 2014, he delivered his valedictory lecture at the university. After that, in the period from May 2012 to April 2017, Jaap has also been active on a part-time basis as a professor European integration at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. Until the present day, Jaap de Zwaan is still working in various fields related to European Union law and policies. From the Rotary side, Jaap is a member of the Rotary Club The Hague East in the Netherlands. He served his club as president from 2013 to 2014, as well as from 2015 to 2016. And since a number of years, he is coordinating from the Dutch side the Rotary Intercountry Committee, the Netherlands Russian Federation. Jaap de Zwaan is also a Paul Harris Fellow. I say, Jaap, please let yourself hear.
All right, thank you very much. Too kind. Thank you for the introduction. Well, nice to meet you all, of course, spread over the whole world, I have the impression. The funny thing is I visited your club once, that was in 2011. And then I already explained that to Randall. There were more guests present compared to the number of full members, but it was a pleasure to be with you. I visited Saint Petersburg many times, but more travels went to Moscow, which I will explain you in a minute. So my presentation is divided in two parts. I would like to explain you orally something about myself, my connection with Rotary, with Russia, etc., etc. And I also have a PowerPoint presentation with some nice slides, which I want to present you, but on a high-speed basis, because it's just to give you an impression of what we have achieved in the framework of the ICC, the Netherlands Russian Federation. By the way, it's an ICC existing since 2013. And I was involved right from the start in this endeavor. It's a wonderful project, I must say. So that's in fact my problem, my program. Also, I want to add, so it was not only me when I visited your club in 2011, but we came back with my club, the Hague East, in 2012. when I organized a trip to Moscow and also St. Petersburg. And then we visited in St. Petersburg a house for handicapped children. We went there for an evening session, and we were also received with a wonderful dinner, which was prepared by the children. We experienced a wonderful concert, also prepared and performed by the children, and that was also a wonderful experience. So in the framework of Rotary, we also went on our trip to Moscow. We also visited an institute which was had a responsibility to educate parents of children suffering from the Down syndrome, how to handle the situation. And that was also quite an interesting experience for us. And I must say this trip to Moscow and St. Petersburg, it was September, October 2012, was very, very successful. They even up to this present day speak about it. It was really a wonderful discovery, of course, because most of my colleagues, fellows, never visited the Russian Federation. Now, I was introduced in a very nice manner by Henny Homan, so I should not explain too much about myself, except of indeed in my professional career, there are two main lines. The one is the public interest. So when I was a member of the bar here in The Hague, we were serving the interest of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, or the state, if you want, and the European integration. So these are sort of public interest and European cooperation. These are the sticking points. Identifying my career, whether I was director of this think tank, whether I was full-time professor for European integration, but also so as a diplomat, I essentially worked in the domain of European integration in The Hague, in Brussels, but also in Luxembourg as the agent, as was explained by Henny Homan, for the Dutch government in, many legal proceedings before the court in Luxembourg. My first connection with Russia dates back to 2006, when I was appointed. Unfortunately, I have to say, when I was appointed a member of the board of the governing board of a European Studies Institute, which was founded in 2006. By the European Union and the Russian Federation. So Lavrov was present then when we opened that institute. It is connected to MIGIMO, very famous and well-known prestigious university in Moscow. But it has, of course, it had an autonomous status, but was connected to the campus of MIGIMO. And we met, of course, as members of that governing board relatively regularly in Moscow at MIGIMO. It offers, and still it does, by the way, post-academic programs to civil servants, also civil servants from executive bodies, so officials of the ministries, but also of executive bodies, very successful. And I was a part of being a board member, also involved in lecturing and organization of conferences. And of course, because of this linkage with education, inter-university cooperation, I also am still not a regular, but often when I am in Moscow, I also visit a couple of universities, whether it is Kutafin, which is a law university in Moscow, whether it's Rosnu, so the new university in Moscow, and MIGIMO, certainly when I'm lecturing there from time to time. Of course, since the pandemic, came on board, this experience was stopped for quite a while, but hopefully we can take this up again. And St. Petersburg University, I also have visited several times on behalf of my law school in Rotterdam to conclude a cooperation agreement, and I lectured also several times. Also, by the way, not only in the law domain, but also in the domain of international relations. And then I remember very well in a winter period lecturing at the Smolny area, this wonderful place in St. Petersburg. I have still very pleasant memories to that stay in your city. Because of all these activities trying to stimulate European Union, Russia activities and cooperation, I also was invited several times to be a lecturer in the framework of European Union study weeks organized by the European Union delegation in Moscow. And that's very nice, not only in Moscow, Saint Petersburg, but more particularly in the region, if I may say so. So in 2017, I was in Tumen for a week to discuss with local students, 40 in a number, about the ins and outs of European cooperation, about the defects, certainly, of the Russian-European Union relationship, what we can do in order to improve the situation. That was an experience in 2017 in Tumen. I visited Yekaterinburg in 2018, exactly 1 century after the murder on the Romanov family. So it was in July 2018. And also, I recall that one of your members originally was from Tomsk. I was in Tomsk in November 2019 for a similar kind of project. So I was teaching and lecturing and discussing with 40 students from local universities, because you have many universities in Tomsk. Wonderful experience also. Now, my next point is about the organization of Rotary in the Netherlands. Of course, I mean, Randall just a moment ago, he said, well, we have 77 clubs, and I think you have some 1,200 members, Rotarians in Russia. And you merged the two districts. I was well, not involved, but I noticed it and I experienced what was happening, also because of Stefan Stein's activities in that regard. So we in the Netherlands, we have 7 districts, mind you, for a very small country. So 17.5 million people, but we have 7 districts. And on average, each district counts 70 Rotary clubs, and they're composed on average, again, by 35 members, which means that in total we are around 17,500 Rotarians in the Netherlands. So if you compare that with the Russian situation, we are a bit bigger. That doesn't mean that quality-wise, we are doing better than compared to our Russian colleagues. I dare to say on the contrary. But, and I became a member in 2009, by the way, so The Hague East, and I was involved very quickly in the international cooperation. We have a partner in Germany, and I was involved from the start with the foundation of the ICC, the Netherlands Russian Federation. Now, of course, and that's the tricky point, of course, the idea of an inter-country committee, it's an important instrument of Rotary International, as you may know. And if you read what Rotary International expects ICCs to do, it's essentially to try to connect clubs, not to say districts, with each other in the countries concerned. And that, of course, is quite an endeavor when it comes to cooperation with Russia. And here, of course, although we never discuss politics for 100% in the Rotary context, you may imagine, more particularly because many of you are not Russian nationals, but in the context of cooperation with Russia, it is not so easy to try to stimulate intensive cooperation with the Russian Federation. Of course, I mean, we are focusing what's happening internally, human rights, fundamental freedoms, between brackets, the Navalny case. Mind you, today, Joe Biden meets Vladimir Putin. I think the meeting has already ended, and they are now involved in the press conferences and so on. They will have discussed these issues, but obviously there are quite a number of external files also, which makes sometimes life a bit difficult when you try to stimulate cooperation between Rotary clubs in the Netherlands, but the same will go for other Western European countries and the Russian Federation. I should not dwell upon the Crimea, the frozen conflict, Belarus, internet hacking, etc., all these issues, which makes creates a rather politically difficult climate. And of course, that has an impact, that has an influence on cooperation. So when I try to make good publicity for what we are doing as an ICC, of course, the first 3 questions are about the political difficulties, more particularly also, by the way, because the Netherlands has a very difficult file to deal with the Russian Federation, which was this very tragic incident with a Malaysian civil airplane flight in July 2014, which was shot down above the territory of eastern Ukraine by what is supposed to be a Russian Buk missile, and also with some Russian military personnel involved, with, as a consequence, 298 casualties, civil people, civil citizens from several countries, 283 Dutch people. And, you know, this has given rise to a sort of trauma up to the present day, because it's so difficult to go after what has really happened and so on. And just recently, formal legal proceedings have started here in the Netherlands, and they may still go on for quite a while. But of course, on the other hand, and that's the positive aspect, so my background is cooperation in the European context. The Russian Federation, let's say, is a European country. Let's leave politics aside. Let's try to focus on what ordinary citizens can do together from a people-to-people kind of perspective and bottom-up cooperation. And of course, we share a lot of common values with the Russian Federation. It's not only history, it's also culture. Of course, we often experience difficulty to get access to each other because of the language, but certainly in that context also Rotary connections facilitate the cooperation, because many of the Russian Rotarians are rather fluent in English. And for me, it's a fantastic experience, and I always make publicity. PR is one of my main kind of capacities, where I try to stimulate new people to come in and to join us, and to stimulate clubs to organize events in the framework of our ICC network. So what do we try to achieve? So we are in the Netherlands, we have a sort of core group, which is composed of 15 Rotarians, Henny Holman being now one of them, fortunately, and I try to have involved at least all the 7 districts. So we are 15 in total, and they try to stimulate on an individual basis clubs in their area to do something. And especially, for example, in the Corona period, where we can profit from online communication facilities like we are practicing now, to do something and to take contact and to discuss, to chat with colleagues from the other sides. And we are rather successful in trying to stimulate these activities. Apart from that, in normal times, so leaving the pandemic aside, we try to organize at least one big event, either in Russia or in the Netherlands. And so we were founded in 2013. We organized in 2015 a huge conference regarding assistance to blind and bad eyesight people in Amsterdam and a city connected to Amsterdam, in order to exchange information from both sides, Russian and the Dutch side, how to facilitate blind people, bad eyesight people, to have access to the public domain. And we were able at that time to profit from experience from the Paralympics in Sochi. And on the other hand, we were able to illustrate and to present Dutch technology with regard to how to assist a blind person, how to get access to the public domain with a system which is very popular here in the Netherlands, and which we try to stimulate that at least a discussion would be developed between the experts from both sides. It was very, very successful, I dare to say. 2017, we organized in the Netherlands a huge program excursion to a new province of our country, because as you may know, We are very strong. We have very strong expertise in creating land out of water. So there is a whole new province which has been developed after the Second World War in the 50s and the 60s. It's called Flevoland, which is now a very florious, very interesting area where a lot is being organized and done in the context of flower culture, of course, agriculture, fisheries, and so on and so forth. So we invited Russian Rotarians, but also experts in the different sectors to join us, and we went for 4 days. We made a trip to this new province of Flevoland. We have organized 2018 a drawing competition for children. I will show you a couple of pictures in a minute, which was absolutely great, fantastic. So on the one hand, Cherepovets, which, as you may know, is a mid-sized city between Saint Petersburg and Moscow, where there were children from 12 to 15, 15 to 18, which were drawing, or according to their knowledge and fantasy, about the Netherlands. And vice versa, we organized later in that year, 2018, a contest for Dutch children in the eastern part of the Netherlands to make drawings about what they have in mind when they think about Russia. And I will show you also some pictures about their achievements. And in 2019, so slightly before the pandemic made our life a bit complicated, we had a wonderful project in the southern part of the Netherlands, which was focused on issues on innovation. The Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven, which is the city of Philips in the southern part of the Netherlands. Now, as I said already before, so on the one hand, Corona has, of course, created many difficulties, obstacles for full-fledged communication. On the other hand, we have also been able to try to stimulate contacts and develop them further by practicing online communication. So we launched a website, which I hope to be able to show you also in a minute. I organized for my club a meeting, online meeting with a Rotary club in Moscow, Moscow East, also Moscow Vostok. By the way, with that club, I also stimulated a cooperation, which ended up to a global grant to set up a hospice for children. At the time, the second one, which has been established now in Domodedovo, so which is a suburb of Moscow, which I visited also in 2019. I have some pictures about that project as well, wonderful project. And we profited from a global grant of $60,000, mind you, in order to be able to install a wonderful room for children to make their life more pleasant, including the life of their parents, which were also involved in that project. Our future plan in 2022 is also focusing on the province of Flevoland, which I mentioned a while ago. There will be organized a huge flower exhibition, which is called Floriade 22 Expo, the Expo flower exhibition of a European format. And we still have to determine the exact period but we will organize in the context of that exhibition a number of activities. I told you, so it's land created out of water. So polder drainage, as you may understand, that's one of our main domain of expertise in the technical domain, but we will discuss also floriculture, horticulture, urban planning, because the cities which have been established and founded in that new area are of course completely well organized, the distance to bigger cities, Amsterdam, Utrecht, etc. So we will organize a seminar on urban planning and development, housing, and also greening of the society. So some elements of climate change, environment, energy will be involved as well. With regard to the Russian side of the activities, of course, especially the Rotary clubs in Moscow, Cherepuvets, and often also in St. Petersburg, we try to develop some common project, but what is always at hand and in our agenda is we try to visit always the annual district conference of District 223, as it's called now. And well, I was able to visit the conference in 2006 in Kaliningrad, in Suzdal, and also in Sochi. I have a couple of photos of these experiences as well. One of the latest developments, but that's also an idea to strengthen, to reinforce support from the bottom-up perspective, people-to-people contacts, layers of cooperation, is to involve a number of Dutch municipalities who have a friendship relationship with Russian cities, and to involve them also in our Rotary work, because for example, a city in the northern part of the Netherlands called Groningen has a friendship relationship with Murmansk. There is a city in the central part of the Netherlands, Nijmegen, has a friendship relationship with Pskov. And certainly Rotterdam is the former biggest harbor in the world. Now I think we are number 10 or 11, or I don't know what, has a friendship relation with St. Petersburg, for good reasons. And what we also could do, and this is also which came to mind to me, is that we could be able, just when we focus on St. Petersburg, we could also organize eventually a kind of event for a couple of days to confront expertise in Rotterdam with the expertise and knowledge of St. Petersburg in all kinds of areas, whether it's about a harbor, whether it's about industrial activities, where it's about the Dutch Delta Plan, the Delta Works series of construction projects in the southwestern part of the Netherlands, Rotterdam being a part of them, to protect a large area and hugely populated from the sea. And I noticed in a couple of weeks, you will discuss the flood protection barrier in St. Petersburg. I was there when this was in process, and I know that quite a number of Dutch engineer companies were involved in that project. And why not? So focus on the interest, mutual interest from two bigger cities, could also be smaller cities, and start with Rotarians working there in several sectors which might be of mutual interest, and to organize a kind of excursion for a couple of days to the Netherlands or to St. Petersburg. We could do similarly with Moscow and Amsterdam, for example, or with other cities. So this is a couple of words about my experience with Russia. So I was a frequent visitor, of course, especially when this project, European Studies project, was in full process in Moscow. Of course, it suffered a bit from political developments. It was started 2008, but 2014, the Crimea, Ukraine, etc., it damaged the project slightly. So when I am in Moscow, I still visit them, but it's not more the kind of special, mutual, inspired relationship which we have tried to develop as from 2006. But nevertheless, we have still good contacts with the individual people, the deans, or even director of MIGIMO. And when I am in Moscow, I always try to deliver sort of guest lecture for students in the framework of that project. So Randall, tell me, I'm very enthusiastic about it. We try to further develop this cooperation. And as I told you, I have a number of slides which I want to go through, but very quickly, but simply to give you an impression of what we have achieved so far. And I'm rather enthusiastic about it. Shall we do it now, or do you want to take first some questions if there are any?
I think it'd be good to start with the slides and then.
Right, but then it will be high speed, so mind you, it will be a high speed because otherwise we might lose too much time. Well, Rotary Corporation, Netherlands Russian Federation, here we go. Of course, Europe, Moscow, the western part of Russia, obviously included. Well, it's the Ural, but I also visited, like I told you, Western Siberia, traveling to Tomsk, for example. And this is in order, well, Rotary-wise, it's a bit the other way around, isn't it? We have here this tiny little country, 7 districts, 500 clubs, 70,000 members, more or less. And compared to Russia, of course, this is a bit another kind of size. This is the foundation. It's very funny. It was organized in the Hermitage Museum. So the Hermitage Saint Petersburg has a branch in Amsterdam at the River Amstel, by the way. This is the restaurant of the Hermitage Museum. This is Yuri Nesterov, very well known probably to our Saint Petersburg friends. He's a member, a prestigious member of Neva. So Saint Petersburg, Neva. And this was our, at the time, governor who concluded the charter with the colleagues from St. Peter, from Russia, Yuri Nesterov here, and here our governor at the time. Well, we spent a nice time. This is the River Amstel, by the way. It's opposite to the Hermitage Museum in Amsterdam. Perhaps some of you recognize some of the colleagues from, and this is what at that time the office of the Rotary organization in the Netherlands, also, by the way, very funny, established opposite the Hermitage Museum at the River Amstel in Amsterdam. So it was all taking place in this was 2013. This is 2015, which I explained to you the project, how to assist blind and bad eyesight people to get access to the public domain. This is the vice president of your Paralympics Olympic committee in Sochi. So she was there, and here are some relatives, some friends from organizations, interest groups for blind people in Russia. So we had a wonderful period in Amsterdam and surroundings, by the way. And this was the farewell dinner in Amsterdam, with a very nice group of people discussing about the achievements and what could be done for the next year. Well, here we'll recognize Stefan Stein. We visited with a couple of friends. This is a Rotarian from the eastern part of the Netherlands, central part of this is me. And here are friends from, here is Natasha Nikolaeva and my friend Iso, also from Neva. They're all from Neva. And I forgot the background of this Russian Rotarian, but she's also from.
This is Ina Ledneva from our club.
Okay, wonderful. Give her my regards if you like. But this was our experience in Kaliningrad when Stefan was the governor. I was very much impressed about what you achieve at the level of Rotaract and even interact, so at the level of 12 to 18. And I always explain to my fellows here in Netherlands, we can learn something from you because you involve youngsters to really to get to know each other, organize exchanges, etc., etc. So this was also a presentation of interact, so young Rotarians, if I may say so, in Kaliningrad. Well, still a nice picture, which represents also of Rotary International and several friends which you may easily recognize. I explained about this agricultural conference for a couple of days in September 2017. Nice group of friends, again, a mixture. Yelena Madveva from Moscow East, Yuri was present again, and several others, but I should not mention all of them because then I'm tempted to forget people, of course. Here is very interesting Cherepovets, the drawing competition, which we organized in 2018 in May in Cherepovets, and in October was it in Hengelo in the eastern part of the Netherlands. Look at this, very dedicated people in the category of 12 to 15, 15 to 17 years old. And mind you, what they did achieve was really, I was amazed. So of course, you may know a little bit about the Netherlands, but what they achieved was tremendous, was really fantastic. So typically Dutch scenes, skating scenes, and here is Sinterklaas, which is of course a very well-known celebration day, the 5th of December, present day for children, etc. We were completely embarrassed about where they performed. Vincent van Gogh, here they designed Saint Peter in Zaandam. He did an internship in the Netherlands. By the way, the starting point of the historical and cultural relation with Russia at the time. Well, I think Saint Peter was one of the founding fathers of our relationship, if I may say so. But what they achieved was fantastic. So they even made drawings about fairy tales, which were not very well known to me. Here, by the way, is Sinterklaas again. So it was very difficult to designate winners. You see, Hugo de Groot, a very famous philosopher, international lawyer, very well known in Netherlands, and Anne Frank, very well known worldwide, I guess, as one of the Jewish victims of the Second World War. So, and all kind of other drawings. It was fantastic what they did to achieve. This is a wonderful picture, isn't it? I mean, you could if you could buy it in a shop, you would do it immediately. And they also reminded us that Dutch discovery, we discovered the Australian continent. I mean, was tremendous in 1606, as you may notice. And this was all achieved by children in Cherepovets, and the prize, the winners were presented in the local theater in Cherepovets. Here they are. Of course, we were very generous and trying to grant not only first and second prizes, but also a certificate to all of them. And it was a fantastic experience. And it was also accompanied by some folk music and dancing, of course, for us, very nice to experience. This is a Soesdal conference taking place, so one of the wonderful cities of the ring, the Golden Ring around Moscow. Soesdal, when we had a nice meeting. Irena, is she still there? She was present there. Yelena, well, I have difficult to pronounce at this moment. From White Knights and
Yalyagina.
Yalyagina. Thank you very much. Svetlana Chelnokova from Cherepovets. She is at present the coordinator of the ICC at the Russian side. Of course, Yelena Matveeva and Natalia Nikolaeva, also from Neva, and some Dutch colleagues in Soesdal. And also, this is where we started to discuss the application for global grants. It was done during the conference in Soesdal, in the margin, with Moscow East for a hospice for children. I will show you in a minute a couple of pictures. This is the conference in Sochi. Wonderful experience to be there at the Black Sea area. Well known, of course, but it's wonderful to visit. And here with Ksenia Maximova, I informed your district conference about the achievements of the Detsky, the children hospice in Moscow, Domodedovo. Well, and here we organized, I tried to stimulate these kind of meetings. Those presence and representatives from ICCs to have a common meeting. So we were present there with Israel was present there. There were other representatives, other ICCs present, and Stefan was at that time the coordinator, I think the predecessor of Olga Kolmogorova, who is now in our midst. And that was also very useful to discuss mutual experience, but more particularly new ideas. I was there with my colleague Henk Kuiken, by the way, not by chance. He's from the province of Flevoland. He is a doctor, a medical doctor, and we were present here at the conference in Sochi. In 2019, obviously, with so nice achievements of the children when they were drawing each other about the other country, I organized an exhibition in Moscow in the, what was it, the House of Cultures, the House of Languages, the cultural center, one of the cultural centers in Moscow, the 10 best drawings from both sides. Well, of course, if you can see it, I mean, amazing. Of course, there was a picture of Lenin, and there was a picture of these nice dolls and so on. But what about this one? And this was a Dutch picture, and it was a Dutch drawing, but yet Russia. So I think it's a wonderful picture. I must say I was completely overtaken when you see this kind of achievements from a child of 15, 16 years old. And here are the other ones. And you notice Hugo de Groot was also selected, and Vincent van Gogh. And we preferred this one also. I told my people at home, especially working in the tourism area, take this one on your brochure and you will attract many tourists, isn't it? It's a wonderful achievement of a child well at the secondary school level in Cherepovets in Russia. The exposition and was opened by our at the time ambassador Renee Bos. She's here in the center. I invited her to do the opening of the exhibition, and these were some children, and they also attended that, and they were working on tulips, as you may know. So we were handed over a couple of tulips, which I of course brought back to the Netherlands. Very nice experience also, and it was a very nice exhibition. So these pictures were shown for a couple of weeks in the, I think it was the Center for Languages in Moscow, with our ambassador present. Here is the Hospice Domodedovo, which was a project running for 3 years, 2018-20. It has now been accomplished, full-fledged. This is when I visited the Domodedovo Center in 2019 in May with colleagues from Moscow East. Yelena again, Yelena Shipel, Brovkina, I forgot her first name, but she was the coordinator from the Russian side. I was the coordinator from the Dutch side, because if you present an application for a global ground, of course, the initiators were Russian Rotary Club, but you need a foreign partner. And I invited my club to be the international partner of this wonderful project, and it has been achieved. So this is the director of the Hospice for Children in Domodedovo. He explained us a number of issues, as you can, and this is the room which we have prepared for them with the help of Real Medical. So it was a very good cooperation, the sensor room installation in this children's hospice. The Eindhoven conference, I referred to Philips in the southern part of the Netherlands. The Dutch Design Week was a rather important group of people meeting in Eindhoven and surroundings. So the southern part of the Netherlands, which was accompanied by cultural events, young Russian musicians. This is one of our members of the core group, the Dutch section of the ICC. She's from Russian origin, but living in the Netherlands already for quite a while. And she invited a number of young Russian musicians to come over to the Netherlands for a couple of days, and that was organized here in Eindhoven and the smaller city of Best, with of course a nice farewell dinner, pictures from both sides. And here we are with the in Corona time. And what can you achieve in Corona time? Well, we started to launch a website, and we organized a launch event digitally. So let me first try to show you the website. Here we are. This is the website. Of course, there is a homepage. There is an explanation about who are we, what are we trying to achieve, what kind of projects we are dealing with. Well, here we were present at the Russian Cemetery of Honor in Leusden, 75 years after the end of the World War. We have in so far.
Can you share the screen for the website, because we just see your PowerPoint slide right now.
You can't see it. You can't see the website. Okay.
You need to change, but you stop sharing your PowerPoint and then choose to share the website.
Choose to share the website. Let me try to do that.
So you can share anything, any screen that's open on your computer. So you have to open the web page.
Yeah, yes. Okay, then I'll go. Let me have a look. Oops. I'm afraid I lost you now. Let's not hope that is the situation.
We can see you.
Oh, that's important. Then I'll try to. Can you see this?
No, you have to share it. You have to share a screen. So
okay. I have to come back to you.
We can see you looking at your screen.
Yes, but that's not enough. I have to come.
It builds excitement.
I have to share the screen again. Let's have a look. Where is the, oops, fuck, share sound. Wait a minute. I'll do my best to bring it back. And if it doesn't work, then we forget about it, but it should be possible. Here we are again. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we see it.
Great. Well, of course, there is a home page. That is this one. Very well organized, of course. And then about us, what we are trying to achieve, the members of the Dutch section, some of the projects we have developed. As I mentioned a while ago, we also visited the Russian Cemetery of Honor in Leusden, 75 years after the end of the horrendous Second World War. A jazz concert we organized, meetings. I received your, at the time, Assistant Governor Alexei Grichin in The Hague. This is the event in Eindhoven. These are the conferences taking place in Sochi, a grand tour. Some of our people participated in that one, etc., etc. If we move forward, well, you can support us. Certainly, there are some pictures of several events we have organized, the gallery view, with some pictures, of course, of the drawing competition. Well, you might discover and recognize several of these pictures, now, etc., etc. So we had achieved a sort of a kind of stage of cooperation, which lent itself to bring on board a full-fledged. But I still have to go back now to my PowerPoint presentation, because the final ones I wanted to show you are these ones. Blah, 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 blah. This is what we have already discovered. The children competition, here we go. And then, yeah, this was, so this is the, and we organized a launching event with many people participating at the time in January this year. So during the pandemic, but nevertheless, you have to do something. And with my club, I organized a bilateral meeting with the same Moscow East Rotary Club, Tatiana Brovkina, by the way. I forgot her first name a while ago because she was the coordinator of this Hospice for Children project of which we cooperated. And finally, but not least, I sometimes try to make some publicity for the work what we are doing, because that's perhaps another point which I should mention to you. Funny enough, although the Netherlands, of course, is a country with huge and intensive international relations, we have not that many inter-country committees developed and set up. So, of course, there is an inter-country committee with regard to relationship with Germany, the Netherlands, Germany. There is one with Belgium, with the former colonies, Indonesia and Suriname in Southern America. But that is it, essentially. So we were relatively a newcomer, but rather active. So I told you before 2013, we have founded ourselves. And so from time to time, I make a publication in the magazine, Rotary magazine in the Netherlands. And this is the final one in February. And the publication gave rise to new applications for participation in our ICC context. And also in this context, I refer again to Henny Homan, who reacted also on this one. Well, and that's it. As far as I'm concerned, so I stop sharing this PowerPoint. So I hope that will give you an impression about what we are doing, what we intend to achieve, about our future plans. I recall that why not you can connect cities to each other and try to develop a program with the help of Rotarians from both sides. I mentioned Rotterdam, Saint Petersburg. Why not? I mean, there are many topics which we could be which could be discussed and so on and so forth. But we will develop this further also with our Russian friends, of course.
Can I ask a question? Are there many Rotary clubs in the Netherlands that meet in English language? So, for instance, in Rotterdam?
Practically, well, of course, the main language, of course, is the Dutch language, but practically all memberships, all clubs are able to communicate with you in English.
Yeah.
I mean, without any exception, I dare to say. Okay.
But in The Hague, there are a few international clubs where, because of the diplomat and related work,
international organizations with, yes, but well, there are in at least 2 English-speaking Rotary clubs in The Hague. But if you would like to know about the communication with Rotary clubs in the Netherlands, from the perspective of language, that should not be a problem at all, because wherever you go in the Netherlands, east, south, north, west, in the center, people are able to speak and to communicate with you in English.
Are there any Dutch people who don't speak 5 languages?
There are, certainly.
There are.
Yeah. So I visited the gymnasium, so ancient Greek, Latin, German, French, English, and the Dutch language.
That's just a warm-up.
Yeah.
Gabriella had a question, and then David, and then Anne.
Thank you so much for this wonderful travel through Russia. And I absolutely agree with you that it's important to work individually with Russia. But please allow me to contradict you in one point. You spoke about what you have to defend when working with Russia. For my opinion, we have extremely one-sided media. And you don't know what really happened and who is guilty, but we know for sure it was Russia. And this is something that upsets me so far. And we only can combat it really when meeting and when bringing people, young, especially also young people, to Russia and the other way around. And there comes Rotary to the picture. There is a very good proverb in Russia, and they say it's better 1 time to see than 100 times to hear. So I want to encourage you to go on with your energy and your activities. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. No, exactly. That was also the reason why I brought my club to Moscow and St. Petersburg. And as I told you, they're still referring back to this trip. They liked it a lot. But nevertheless, I mean, at the political level, it's not so easy. But indeed, so we can counterbalance that situation by trying to explain at least the situation. And obviously, there are so many points in common. Nonetheless, but I think in Germany that might be a sort of similar experience. It's not easy to really convince clubs to establish cooperation, a clear-cut cooperation, sincere cooperation with Russian clubs. And there, of course, the language might be a problem because not all Russian clubs might be able to communicate in English. But so far, so good. And with the help of people like Olga Kolmogorova and Stefan Stein and many colleagues in St. Petersburg and Moscow, we are able to further develop these relationships. Certainly.
David,
yes,
please.
Yeah. Thank you so much for a very sophisticated and thoughtful presentation. I'm wondering if you had the time to participate or register for the recent ICC pre-convention, where some very dramatic progress has been made and is en route to go further. Did you have the chance to register for that?
No, I mean, that was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Just last week.
Yeah,
I will send Randall some background information to forward to you. And I very much look forward to your participation in what President Holger and President-elect Schechter are planning to accomplish in this area.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
Can you give us a hint?
I will. Randall, I'll send you the materials this evening.
Okay, you're teasing us. Okay, Anne.
If I can hear, excuse me.
Go ahead. Anne, we can hear you if you wanted us to hear you. Anne?
been very dismayed about the demonization of Mr. Putin by the American press, including PBS, derogatory, provocative comments. And I'm just wondering, I'm new into the ICC, US, Russia. I'm in love with the people I've met. How can we ramp this up so that we can not blow each other up, or at least can demonize each other when we're not in our friendship groups?
Well, as I said, just by developing new projects and bringing people into contact with each other. And that's also one of my ideas, to involve cities and friendship relations between existing organizations. Could be cities, could be in the sports domain as well, in order to get to know each other better. So I think the instrument of exchanges, young people, older people from several sectors, experts from several domains. I gave you a number of examples in the agricultural domain, the technological domain, on assistance to blind people, bad eyesight people, to bring them into contact. I think that's what we should do and what we should continue to do. But of course, not only ICC, the Netherlands Russian Federation, but I think Russia has many ICCs in the process of development. They practice ICCs is practically, well, I would not tempted to say all the European states, but many of them. And of course, Canada, the United States included. And my idea to try to gather representatives visiting the Russian district conference, there is an annual one in May normally, and to bring them together also to share their experience, to stimulate them with new ideas. That is, I think that's the way forward. But
how soon could we do a Rotary Peace Conference in Russia?
Of course, you can do that. Yeah. I even discussed that issue with Stefan Stein at that time, so that we could organize in Russia a meeting to start with all representatives of all ICCs Russia is involved in. And these are already quite a number of people. And of course, if those people are coming to Russia and bring their experiences back with the help of slides, images, and whatever, can stimulate new projects, exchange projects, young people, etc., etc., it would be wonderful.
Can I just say something? I think that our incoming district governor is Margarita from Vladivostok, and one of our past district governors, Yevgenia Terakova, has set up a new it's a new online club based in Vladivostok, which is called Vladivostok Territoria Mira, so Territory of Peace. And they have in Vladivostok, in the Ruski Island, where there is the Far Eastern State University, an amazing facility which each year hosts the Asia, is it called Asia Pacific Economic Forum. It would be an incredible venue actually to hold an event like that, because they have the infrastructure is all there, and the city is a spectacular place to go for someone who's never seen it before.
I would like us to see if we can remove some of the barriers that keep us from these friendship exchanges. I know there's some things going on there, but we don't have 25, 30 years to do this 1 by 1 and 10 by 10. We need to do something, I would say, rather dramatic, because there's so much demonization by Americans of Russians, and I don't know, it's vice versa, but I don't see how the meetings between Biden and Putin have a chance, because the assumption is Putin is always manipulative and has bad motives and so forth. And so anyway.
Yeah, well, if I connect a number of elements, so as I told you, I think it was in Soesdal, when I discussed with Stefan Stein the idea of bringing together all representatives of Russian intercountry committees with their counterparts in the several countries, bring them together for a 2 days conference, I don't know what, and you may invite whoever who wants to join to discuss these kind of issues. So bottom-up cooperation, people-to-people contact in several sectors, several IDs. I think it would be wonderful. I think to that extent, Rotary has a role to play, isn't it? I mean, not necessarily in the political domain, but exactly in areas where politically something can be improved. I think we can stimulate new developments. So, Randall, if I hear you talking about a Congress Center in Vladivostok, I think many people would be prepared to visit that center. For example, in the margin of the upcoming annual conference of District 2223.
Yes, well, I'm sure that the district conference would be in Vladivostok.
Yeah, bringing together the ICCs that are focused on Russia work is part of the agenda of the new plan for Rotary in Russia, and I'll cover that in my cover note to you.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very looking forward. I just owe you an explanation. I'm still involved in a lot of lecturing work, and although I'm an emeritus, but at that time I was lecturing for a group of students in Portugal. So
of course,
you can only be on one place at the same time. So
that's the miracle of archived presentations.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, Jaap, I want to thank you very much. We've gone a little bit over, but it's been fascinating to hear your presentation and to be able to take some questions. I know a lot of people have had to go away because they've got business or personal things to take care of. But thank you so much for giving us this broad but deep perspective.
I think Natalia has a question.
I still have a question, but I see that that's really the closure of the meeting. I just wanted to ask whether Jaap would be so kind to answer my question in the written form. I could send it to you about the initiative of the American organization, which wants to make an educational university, European university in Europe, by supported by Erasmus program. I just wanted to know the Dutch perspective, because you are such an experienced person. Can I write to you?
Yes, voluntary. I'm very happy to cooperate in this kind of project. I was one of those who stimulated cooperation with Russian university and students in the framework of Erasmus Socrates. There are so many possibilities which have not been exploited as yet. So yes, please, I'm very willing to take a look to that.
Thank you. Thank you. I will write to you.
Thank you very much. And Randall has my email address, by the way.
Yeah, I will share that. Gabriella, one final.
Yes, I just want to say that we know Margarita. She also joined us in Petersburg in 2015 when we had the opening of the benches. I think it was before your time. And my husband and me, we went to see her when we were in Vladivostok, and she showed us around and also showed us the Russian island. I only want to support this idea of meeting in Vladivostok. It is Russia, but it's Russia completely different from Petersburg or Moscow. It's a huge city. It's a very civilized city. I think it will open our horizon, and I really am supporting this idea. And then I want to say that I'm extremely amazed by the biographies of the participants today. Everyone has such a broad horizon and had lived here and worked in another country, and this really makes us open-minded and look around, look above the plate we see. So thank you so much, and thank you, Randall, for organizing.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Henny, for arranging for us to connect with Jaap in the first place.
And a big applause for Jaap.
Yes, yeah, big applause.
Well, it was very nice to join you. Very nice.
Please tell all the 7 districts in Netherlands that we meet on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and they're welcome to join us. I don't think we have any capacity problem. I think we could have 17,000 people on our call. I may be wrong.
We will do our best to make more publicity for your meetings.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's a Rotary four-way test.
Now many years ago, in 1932, his company was headed down, he knew not what to do. Then Herbert Taylor started on a quest to keep his team from certain doom. He wrote the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary four-way test. Adopted some years later by Rotarians worldwide, some simple rules for dealing with the people by your side. A guide for life's decisions, no doubt one of the best. Just 24 quite simple words. The four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary four-way test. In the class or on the playground with your friends at school, you'll find that hurtful words and actions really aren't too cool. So as you make your choices of what to do or say, remember that old four-way test and you will be okay. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's the Rotary four-way test. And will it be beneficial